Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the After Action Report. Really glad that you guys could join us today. Also want to remind you that we are brought to you by Admiral Tater's Ship Shop. If you want some absolutely fantastic Armada accessories, this is the place to go. He is definitely the gold standard, especially if you've looked at, seen some of our videos and seen some of the acrylic obstacle markers. They are fantastic for gameplay. I highly recommend you going to the website, checking it out. There are a lot of great things there aside from that, but that is the latest and the greatest, and I definitely recommend that you check that out. So, want to remind you before we get into the meat of the show here that scheduling is going to be a bit of an issue for me here for the next few weeks, so we are not going to have Midroom Mayhem for the next 2 weeks. I am very sorry for that. It's just one of those things. My work schedule plus a family vacation are kind of knocking me out of that. So I'll try to figure something out, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get anything on air for you during that period of time. And again, I apologize for that, but I'm very glad that we're able to give you the show tonight. Barring the kind of technical difficulties that we had last night, we should this coming Sunday. No, we won't have it. It's the following Sunday that we will have Swoder back for you. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. In the meantime, I think it is time to go ahead and bring the crew on board here. This time I have definitely remembered to unmute the mics so that they can be heard from the start of the show. How's it going, guys?
Test. No,
yeah.
That's good.
On air.
No, I've got this big Post-it note on the second monitor there that said, "Turn mics back on."
That's smart. That's good. Yes.
And unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties on another end, we won't have Reuben on visual, but we do have him on the channel anyway.
Yeah, you won't see me wildly gesticulating while I make all my points. So.
The audio is really good today, though.
Yeah, got to use those big words, gesticulating.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think that's dirty.
It sounds dirty. It does. Yeah, well, thanks. So we're doing a Memorial Day stream here. Obviously,
thank
it's
you
awesome
to everybody that has served.
And everyone who's laid down their lives, right? That's what's important about Memorial Day across the whole earth, including our allies, right? It's a special day. So it does. Reuben and I were talking about it earlier. It does really get caught up in the hubbub of sales and barbecues.
Yeah.
It's like one thing I've always felt really weird about is I never get mad at people because they do sales, but I always feel really weird about Memorial Day, and so I never do a sale usually. I think I did like once, and I was like, this feels really weird. I'm never doing this again.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyways, Memorial Day. I'm really excited that we still have freedom to be able to do silly things such as talk about classic spaceships. Yes.
Oh yeah.
So has anything gone on in the last couple of weeks?
Man, I don't know. I've been like super busy myself. The ship shop, I have a piece of equipment down, so I've been like struggling to maintain production rates. So, but I did find out today I've got my laser that's coming. I got a new one coming. It's on the ship in LA, and it apparently will get offloaded on June 15th. So then it can start making its way over to me. It's a big deal for me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, that is a really big deal.
It's all right. I just got a 3D printer in the mail today, so I'm happy about that.
Nice.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. People have been making some cool stuff.
Yeah. It's not a large volume one, so it'll be more for my Necromunda minis than for the bigger Armada pieces. I could probably do squads out of it, but I don't know that I could do.
Yeah, I saw.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? People have been making stuff like 3D printed maneuver tools to replace the things. This one This one was designed by Wobble King. He's one of the guys who run like Legacy.
Mhm.
He did a really good job on it, and I think I bought these from Mercier's Etsy shop, Alan Stelly's Etsy shop. So he's got like a deal to make them, but they're really cool, and they come in like lots of colors. Like this one's black, and then I made a.
It sounds like it clicks into place a lot better than the other ones.
It does a really good job of ratcheting. It's not quite the same as the injected molded like ones. I'm sure it's a lot better than a lot of people's tools they've been using for like 8 years.
Yeah.
They get really loose. So, no, they work really good. The dimensions are perfectly good. And then I made some for Texas Open, but like little insert tokens. And they look really slick. Like when you put a red token inside these with like white paint, looks really neat with black on instead of just plain gray.
Yeah, and I think the date that most of the third part, at least I know that I think it's Legends that goes live on the 6th with their Wave 0 stuff.
Yeah, I think Arc and Legacy and Legends all release this stuff like the beginning of June.
Okay.
So
Yeah, like the first of the month.
a lot of stuff
so.
we can like peruse and look at and talk about.
Well, if you are on the Discord, there has been some chatter about some sector fleet that was done, I believe, in Tip City. Damon posted some pictures about what was going on there, and sounded pretty cool. You guys might want to check that out at some point.
Yeah, they're practicing for a tournament on Saturday.
Okay.
Our sector fleet.
In Louisville.
Yeah.
And what time is that tournament start in Louisville? And is that at Miso's?
Yeah, it's at Miso's. I think they open up at 10. So probably get there at around 9:30. Yeah. And then I think they're just doing 2 rounds.
The upstairs section or the downstairs section?
I think they have the upstairs. It might be multiple, like both levels. Because I think they promised 18 slots.
Nice. That's a lot of slots.
Yeah. Do I still have that posted?
How long does a round of sector fleet usually take?
I think we were trying to limit it to 2.5 hours, actually. Or 3 hours. I can't remember.
For
one of the two.
800, that's pretty tight.
Yeah.
Well, there's limited small, right? You can only have 2 smalls. Yeah. And like even then, like, it does take a long time.
Yeah, the 100 maximum squadrons too helps with that. It's mostly just big ships.
Okay.
The 2 rounds or 3?
2 rounds, I think.
I heard 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So right now there's 14 people signed up. We got 4 slots left. So if you're not signed up, go ahead and do that. Yeah, they're starting 10 a.m. and we're going to end at 9.
Sadly, again, I'm working at 3 to 11, so I will not be able to make that.
I don't know. If we're ending at 9 o'clock, we might be trying to do 3 rounds. That's a lot.
That's ambitious.
It's a lot of sector fleet.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as everyone stays.
But again, the build limits will kind of
it's always fun. You're going to see multiple executor supers because that's the only time you can bring one. So if you can, people like to show up with them.
Yeah, especially 800 points. That's a lot of points.
Yeah, you get
to
bring the executor 2, throw 11 dice out your front.
With all of the upgrades, and then like 5 other ships.
It's awesome. It's a fun list.
And while we didn't actually have the show for Midrim Mayhem, I know Joel and Jeff went at each other, and I think they put some pictures up on the Discord and talked about what went on. I think Jeff kind of eked out the win on that, but I'm not really sure exactly what they were running. I didn't have much of a chance to dig deeper.
I think Jeff switched to CIS. I think.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah,
I was supposed to bring him a Django card, but I couldn't make it.
Now, on the other hand, I mean, Jeff used to run a lot of CIS, didn't he? Before he got onto the mine build.
The Rebel Prov.
Yeah.
He's loved the Providence a long time. It's a good ship. It's a great workhorse.
I have difficulty with its movement, but then again, I have difficulty with a lot of Rebel fleets, so.
Rebel Prov at speed 3 is difficult to navigate. Yes. Cool. All right. Well, yeah. So let's dig into it, man.
Yeah.
We're talking about fighters today.
I just thought that this was a topic that we really hadn't talked much about. And when I was discussing with Nick and some other people on occasion, we'd talk about, okay, there are small builds, there are medium builds, there are the 134 builds, and of course there's some groups that are squadless, which that doesn't need much explanation at all. But I think it would be an interesting conversation to really clarify for everybody what we mean when we're talking about small, medium, and large squad builds.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, what faction? Well, I guess. Well, we can talk about
general use. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
because like there's a lot of differences. Like you play them differently, right? Like bring a small squads versus medium squads.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like first thing that comes into my mind when I think small squads, I think of Aaron's squad ball of Tycho and Shara Bay.
Shara
Tycho.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a very classic light squadron coverage.
Yeah, you have Shara and Tycho, and then you have Sienna and Valen on the Imperial side.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know that there's a Clone War equivalent. Maybe like Deltakin and
Axe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't work quite as good, but it's still great.
So generally, your light squadron coverages tend to be 33-ish to like 64 points. And like it's a pretty wide margin of what it could be. And what you're trying to do is you're really just trying to stop any other squadrons for attacking your ships for like 2 rounds. And the key component is you actually want them to hit your ships first, in most cases, and then fly your squadrons in and engage. And then now your ships can not be bombed. So we've spent 2 turns maneuvering, and then they get that squadron alpha off. And then you lock them down for 2 turns. So now it's turn 5, and the game's mostly over. Because bomber fleets, when we talk about them, it takes them a long time to get anything dead. So if you can stop them from doing anything for 2 turns, shooting your 30 or 60 points of squadrons, as long as you can kill enough ships, you should win.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the biggest problems I had when I tried running a small squad ball was that I always felt like I needed to engage first. I didn't want the bombers to hit my ships to begin with, and ships are a lot sturdier than than my mind is giving them credit for, and therefore it's okay to take 1 round, but then you want to put a stop to it.
It's only usually a problem against Sloan, because if Sloan can alpha you, you can lose like your brace token immediately, and then it just domino effect. Or if just the enemy just gets lucky, man. Like sometimes people will hit you with a hyena swarm and roll like 3 damage on each hyena like 4 times in a row, and then like even if they don't bomb you again, that was enough to like ruin the game for you. So there's always a risk, but like Reuben's right, like that's how you do it typically, unless you feel really comfortable to where you won't overlap your squadrons and the enemy squadrons to where they can put your squadrons back behind and then put their squadrons in front again and they keep bombing you.
Yeah, I really think that light squadron coverage is as difficult to execute well at the highest competitive level as 134, because it's so timing and position specific, because you have to know where the angle of attack of the enemy squad ball, where to put your squadrons where they're safe from getting picked up or locked down, where they can't then go engage the bombers. Because a full squadron complement, they're using their air superiority to go lock down your light coverage so they can bomb independent the rest of the game. So you have to be like just out of their threat range.
Now, why would you go with small squad ball over squadless?
If you can
deployment advantage.
Yeah. So the 4 deployments, right? So when we talked about all these stats, you want to be at like 6 or 7 deployments. And if you've only got 4 ships, so 2 Gazantes and like 2 ISDs, you have to be extremely good at deploying your stuff and have a bid. So you have enough tempo advantage to then play well. Whereas if you had like 4 TIE fighters, 2 Gazantes and 4 TIE fighters is 4 deployments. So now you're you know, you're not going to see what the squad player is doing, but you're going to see what most other people are doing.
Okay.
And it's, gives you a little bit of hedge of your bets of what you run into.
All right.
Yeah, squad list play is another mentality entirely too, because even if let's say you're building a list and you say I don't want to mess with squadrons, you still have to put some kind of tech into defending against squadrons and dealing with them. So like, let's say I don't want to deal with squadrons at all. I'm saving 30, 40 points instead of bringing a light fighter coverage. Those points should be going towards upgrades, point defense ion cannons, maybe a flak upgrade for like Imperials have like Agent Callus, just something to help spook enemy squadrons so that they don't have free reign to come at you. If you go completely without, and you're just, if your only strategy is just hope your opponent's not bringing squadrons, you're just going to lose like, 2/3 of the matchups just from the outset.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really common new player frustration I see is like thinking that the torpedo bomber and the dive bomber aren't going to do anything to your ships when like this game is based off of Star Wars, which is based off of Pacific War, and those did stuff to ships. It took them time. So like combined arms is just, how the game is played. So even if you don't go full bore on it, at least knowing your counter strategies for it is an important part of learning the game.
Yeah. So yeah, small squads, it's a screen. That's what it comes down to. Just a screen.
Now, does CIS have anything as far as small squad is concerned, or is it just vultures?
Yeah, they have the best. The vultures.
4 vultures.
Or I mean, the thing about CIS is you can bring like 8 vultures, and it's like 40 points.
Yeah.
And then you bring TI-99, who's like 3 points, and then all of a sudden your vultures have counter 3. It's disgusting. It's actually really
so good.
That's what Damon brought to Worlds was like 6 vultures. And it's just it's 3 deployments, right? And it's enough to like lock anything up, and they're speed 4.
Yeah, I think the only issue with that is if you use TI-99, then if you do the counter, then you're not moving after that.
Right, which is fine because like you're in position already. Is the whole point of where you're supposed to have them.
The biggest thing about that is bringing 6 vultures means your opponent has to shoot 6 vultures. So if they only have 4 squadrons, if they only have like 2 dedicated, superiority fighters, it takes them time. They can only kill, even the vultures have 3 hull, they can only kill 1 per turn.
Right. So
it's the same with TIE fighters for the Empire. It's just you have to be careful. That's when you have to be really cautious about enemy flak. 3 hull vultures and TIE fighters, when you're flying into a bubble and somebody's got like 2 blue flak, they're gonna it takes them 2 rounds to kill your entire squad ball because they get to flak every squadron.
Right. Or double black flak versus vultures. You'll melt so fast.
I will admit, when I was playing CIS, I had a great deal of difficulty figuring out the correct position on the squads because I've had a hell of a lot of vultures and I don't think I used them to their full effectiveness.
It's all timing and positioning. It's just a practice thing, man. Especially it's also kind of knowing how the other enemy squadron ball plays so that you can play into it. And when you were playing vultures, you just didn't know a whole lot about I don't think you've ever flown like a Biggs ball, and you've never flown like 2 years worth of Sloan, right? So it's just hard to know.
Yeah, because when your opponent lines up with 134 of Imperial squadrons, that's a completely different. Like you're gonna have to weather a completely different storm than somebody who's bringing 134 Rebel rogues.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a different strategy because the Imperial rogues are gonna get commanded by a Quasar in the ship phase. They're gonna go speed 5. They're gonna hit like a truck. And so if you put your light fighter coverage out of position just a little bit, where a speed 5 squadron can come from their deployment zone, you're going to lose your squad ball in 1 turn, and then it does nothing for you because that's already the 1 turn squad fight is accounted for in the math of your opponent. They say, I'm going to take 1 turn and wipe out the resistance and then spend the next 4 turns bombing.
Yeah,
Whereas,
and that's why it's
you know,
important
yeah.
to delay the engagement.
Okay. Now, when we talk medium squad ball, what are we looking at there?
So like 80 to 90, 100. They kind of go two different ways. You see a lot of like Imperial rogues at this point value, and then you see like a lot of squad balls that are focused expressly on the air superiority section of the game. This is the least played squad ball because it's this middle ground that hasn't been explored a lot by any of the factions because all of them don't really have a combination that goes, okay, yeah, I have 90 points of squads that are all like choice. You'll see a lot of 4 aces, and that'll be your 90 points. So,
Yeah.
like Wedge, Dutch, Hera, and Ghost, and Lando. That's like a really good 80, 100-ish point thing that'll really kill other squadrons. And if those aren't around, it'll bomb a little. Same with like Vader, Merrick, Jindin, Tell is another 4 aces. Really can kill 134, can sort of help bomb. And if you hit, well, they'll kill light squadron really well. And if you hit heavy squadrons, if you position them well and play them well like a light squadron coverage, they'll actually pick up a lot of points because they can do a ton of damage.
Yeah, and they can hamstring, like if your opponent is bringing 134 and they're bringing like mixed fighters, like either rogue like Y2 2400s or like the big Imperial rogue ball where it's like Boba Fett and Boss, like these fighters that are meant to fight and bomb. If you can kill a couple of them, it's going to severely stop the momentum of the bombing run, even if you lose your 85, 90 points of squadrons. For me, I see the same problem as like, why don't you see Victory Star Destroyers? It's because I'm already committing 90 points to this. I could probably find enough room to go full 134 and maybe have a better run with it and just take I can specialize, right? I can go one direction or the other. I can save 30 points and just drop a couple generic squadrons or just take the 2 best rogues out of that ball and make that my screen, or I can add a couple fire sprays to that, and now I've got a really devastating 134 ball that can push the fight and then also bomb. Victory Star Destroyers are kind of the same deal. Like, why take one when I could just spend 20 points and upgrade to an ISD at that point and get more bang for my buck?
Yeah. Although I will have to
Yeah.
say that I am really enjoying my medium-sized squad ball.
It's really fun. It's really fun because it gives you a little bit of the potency of like a full squad ball without the you don't need the extra support system that a 134 like wants, and you don't have
Yeah.
like the mental energy dedicated to like positioning and trying to make your activations in order.
Yeah, I think new players should start at medium, personally. 4 aces, so you learn how to like overlap your abilities, because that's the core part of playing 134, is getting all your stuff in position so all your ace abilities are all supporting each other. But you're not skewing your fleet in such a way that your whole fleet is focused on getting these squadrons on task. It's a self-compartmentalized thing that'll do its job, but you learn how to play squads well so that when you want to play 134, you have a strong basis in the game. Garrett, do you know any like medium builds for CIS or GAR?
So Gar has the perfect one. It's Deltakin, Ahsoka, Axe, and Kickback. It's 80 points, and it's an unstoppable ball, right? Because Anakin splash damages, Ahsoka moves, splashes again, and then Axe has his damage reduction, and then Kickback does this thing where he attacks and moves. So that's really good. Now CIS, they don't have a medium ball. Either you bring in Vultures or you bring in 134. There's no like in between.
You don't think Django gives you any potential for a medium?
No, because he's speed 3, so everything you mix him with, he's slower than, and so it just like the ball just doesn't work. It's just not synchronized. I like Django in 134 as I like replace one of my hyenas with him, but it's like crazy how much that speed 3 slows down everything. It's because you're always thinking about where do I put Django? How far do I get Django to like make everything hit at the same time? So, but if there was more than one Django, maybe, but there's just not.
Do Separatists have any access to fighter coordination teams?
Yeah, they
Any,
can.
maybe?
They
Yeah.
can. But then it's like, why are you putting so many points into trying to move Django, I
Make
guess.
Django good, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's good by himself. I'm not saying he's not, but he's like their best chance at something. But the problem is like there's not a lot around him.
There's no
Uh,
synergy with him.
There's not
Yeah.
a lot of aces in the faction.
Yeah,
No.
there's not enough
Really.
beef. There's not enough beef to make it last long enough to not lose 100 points or 80 points of squads too easy. Like killing Axe, Kickback, Deltakin, and Ahsoka is work because you have two with aces. You got Kickback with Escort. You got Axe in the back reducing damage. It's a
Mhm.
chunk with Empire, right? If someone's got Mornikey and Tell, like okay, good luck
Yeah.
chewing through Mornikey and Tell, and then the other two they have probably Vader Defender.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be annoying.
Now, Watt
And
has
then
an escort, doesn't he?
he does, but like Watt works best when he has a bunch of crap around him for screen, right?
Yeah.
So again, we're back to the point of we just need more stuff. And then if you have all that stuff, you need to be pushing it. So then now you need to build a carrier fleet, and if you're built a
Yeah.
carrier fleet, you might as well take 130.
134, yeah.
What do you
That's
think
a
of
good-
the 4 hyena, 4 vulture approach? Because that's like about medium.
Well, it's not enough, right? It's not enough stuff. Because sure, you got 4 vultures, but once those vultures are dead, everything's so easily flackable. You're just not going to get enough done.
Mhm.
And like it's again, you're back to the carrier thing. The hyenas only work if you're pushing them with squad
Yeah.
commands. So now we're back to just building 134.
And that's a good segue to, I think, move into heavy fighter coverage.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
And every faction has great heavy.
Mhm. So now we're talking about 110 to your cap of 134. This fleet, of course, is wholly focused. All the aspects of your fleet, what your ships and your upgrades are all supporting your squad ball to bomb and destroy enemy ships. That's the focus of your fleet, is to get your ship's guns on target in concert with a bombing run, typically multiple bombing runs, so that you can destroy enemy pieces. Because we've got a third of our fleet that is just squadrons. So if they're not doing anything, our 1/3 of our fleet isn't going to kill, well, 2/3 of our fleet isn't going to kill however many percentage of the enemy fleet is all ships, right? Because we're comparatively undergunned because we've spent so many points on these squads. So we've got to get them to kill stuff. And you'll typically see, well, it seems like right now the best way to get bombers to go off with enough actual damage is you need about 4 double die bombers, like activations of it. Because of expert shield techs and because of point defense ion cannons, you need 4 or 5 double die, and that's the critical part, is double die bombers so that you can mitigate the IC's effect on your fleet. Because I've flown a lot of red X-Wing bomber now, and boy does it not really do that much when it gets PDIC'd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you never get your double through.
And you need enough escort squadrons with the bombers supporting fire to fight and kill, because you're either looking to win the squad war and win your game that way because you're playing another 134 fleet, or you need to kill their lesser squad value than yours and not take like critical losses to then try and kill a ship to get that 8.
So when we say
Yeah.
134, I mean, that's what you devote to the squads, but how many points are we actually talking about dedicating to the squad battle, you know?
Oh,
The whole fleet.
It's you know, when we talk about full squads, we're talking about the 120 or so points in squadrons plus, you know, the another 60, 70, 80 points just in upgrade. That's when you're going to see your commanders like Sloan or Trench or Thrawn that are there to support the squad pushing. That's why like all the double dial commanders are really focused on like being squad commanders, because they allow your ships to command squadrons and navigate or repair. Because squad dials versus tokens are like the biggest difference between taking a token, taking a dial, right? Like engineering the token, you still get half your dial. Confire, a reroll versus a die. I mean, we can get the math on that one. But then like navigating, it's going up and down a speed. Squadron, getting one squadron versus getting 4 squadrons on a ship is like, unless you are pushing squadrons, you need a double dial to be able to do a massive launch. You want to push 8 squadrons in a turn, you need to have that capacity.
Yeah, and a 4 squadron activation off of a dial, if it's double die bombers, that is a front arc of an ISD effective attack. And there's nothing in the game that's anywhere near that level of power off of just one dial.
Right.
Yep.
I'll also say Rebels and Empire can get around the building a carrier fleet because they have enough rogues in the arsenal that you can build stuff. Like 134 Akbar, you can build rogues, and then you don't have Akbar's just Akbarin. And then for the Empire, you can build your Mornikey,
Morna, Vader, Boss,
Vader.
Tell, Boba.
Right.
I mean, you've got plenty of options. Then fire sprays are generally the good generic there.
Right. So there's a way to do it. But regarding CIS, like if you're bringing 134, you got to have carriers. But back to the double die bomber thing, Reuben's very correct. Like Empire, right? Vader, Merrick, and Jendon. Jendon doubles them. All of a sudden, now you have 3 of the best double die bombers in the game. Because Merrick automatically gets his crit, and Vader has add up 2. And then Jendon does them again, and then you can pick whatever you want for your 4th guy, right?
What are some
Rebels,
good options on that 4th guy?
So I like to bring, what's his name? First off, I like Mornikey. She's a 3 blues anti-ship. But she can be kind of slow. I think Boba Fett is good again at 24 points because he's blue black bomber.
And the auto damage on him.
But again, he's a bit slow.
He's speed 3. That's correct. But he's man, does he hit like a truck?
Yeah.
But then back to the generic fire sprays, like you can just pour those points into those. But really, the key here is Merrick and Vader can do more damage on average with Jendon than like 5 of another faction's double eye bombers, if that makes sense. It's just consistent, man. Like Merrick's gonna get 2 damage on you. It's gonna happen twice in a row, and Vader might get up to 4 damage on you. Happens all the time, which is crazy considering the averages on red dice. Let's see. Bosk is also double die, but he's not a bomber.
No, but Bosk is funny because he also gets his automatic accuracy against ships. So that can also help. That can help shut down ESTs or help kill smalls, lock down the evade, and then he rolls, up blue. He rolls 2 hits and then locks down your redirect or your evade, and you're like, well, I guess I'm taking 2 damage.
Yeah, it's actually crazy how good of options there are here. I'm like looking at it like, there's so many builds.
It's fun. And like you said, Chris, we've been both kind of flying a lot of Imperial Rogues recently because like they are fun to kind of get in there. A Sloan Ball is very different because you're using your Sloan is similar to like Sato in that fact that you bring a lot of squadrons, but not to do the damage themselves, but to help your ships do the killing.
Yeah, you're looking for a lot of blue dice with Sloan too.
Yeah, so like Sloan can work with like interceptors and TIE fighters because they can strip. Well, then also Merrick works in that too.
Yeah.
They can strip the defense tokens away, and then you have like an ISD 2 that can push 4 squadrons. So it pushes those squadrons and then immediately shoots with 4 red, 4 blue, and makes the most of like, hey, I just locked down your brace token, and I threw 4, maybe 5 with a token, 4 interceptors at your ship. I got 2 accuracies spent, and then discarded your brace token, and then I shoot you with it. That's it's nasty, but that's why people used to run Sloan ISD 1s with boarding troopers. Was specifically to go up there, chunk away, exhaust all your tokens, and then hit you. All they need to do is get 1 accuracy. Your brace is gone, and now you're getting an 8 die.
It's okay. You can be honest about it and say people used to do it because people are jerks. It's okay.
I mean, I did it, and I thought it was fun. It was great.
Efficiency.
Well, they used to do it a lot more when Avenger was a better title.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Yeah, the old Avenger.
Bring it back. Oh, man.
Oh no!
And what did it used to do? I'm just curious. Now.
When you attack, you exhaust it, and your opponent cannot spend exhausted defense tokens.
It was so nasty.
So you go boarding troopers, exhaust all your tokens. I shoot you. You cannot spend any exhausted defense tokens, and you just take 8 damage to the face.
It was like better than boarding troopers almost, because like you didn't need all the extra steps.
Yeah.
You could just Avenger them.
Yep. And then with Sloan, you didn't even need the boarding. Like you said, you didn't need the boarding troopers. You could just exhaust everything and then Avenger. It was relentless. You'd see it all the time in tournaments, and people. That's why like that was back in like the 2019, 2020 days. People were like, Sloan's busted, and nobody likes to play against her.
Yeah, because you would combine old Avenger with like old Price and Strategic Advisor and like wait him out. Oh my gosh. But Rebels though, I think Rebels have more interesting double die squadron options for aces.
Rebel double die squadrons is a place that like so I'm playing MSU and 134 of Rogues right now because it's an archetype that I've not typically played. And I talked to Damon about this to like help me grow as a player and take that like next step and like make that next climb to a new shelf of skill, right? To play something out of your comfort zone because I'm typically a large plus 134 player. That's like my preferred style of play, right? So you develop other muscle groups, right? Where you exercise the mind in different ways to holistically increase your skill. So I'm doing that right now. What I think next step is going to be start looking at how to do this whole double die bomber thing with Rebels. Because we've got 2 that are like competitive staples already. One of them is Lando. Now he's not a bomber, but he discards his token and sets a die, which means he's my favorite. Oh, I love Yeehan people. I love watching the light in my friend's eyes die when I just blow him up with Lando. It's just too fun. I love it.
It's not every time. It's really not fair.
I hate Lando.
Every time it's just in my head. Just so you guys know, when I do the yeehaw, it's always the Falcon coming right out of the fire and out of the Death Star 2. That's what's going. That's why I get that light in my eyes of glee.
The fact that you can't even scatter it means that like Lando, like in 2 turns, just kills a flotilla.
Or 1 turn with 8 artillery.
Or one turn. But yeah, I mean, it's just like you can't stop. You can't do anything about it, and that's not. It's 1 squadron. He's a very expensive squadron. I get it. He's spending a defense token. It's fine. But God, it does not feel fine when you're like, I'm just barely getting away, and Lando comes out of nowhere and just go, you're gonna take 2 damage. You can't do anything about it. You're just like, okay, cool, thank you.
If you see Lando, do not pick their asteroid tactics.
No.
Yes,
don't do it
unless you have a plan to kill Lando. If I'm bringing 134,
isn't gonna work.
I thought one thing we could do the last little bit here is let's talk about some upgrades that go in squadrons, like not just any particular thing, but when we talk about full squadrons, what upgrades do we recommend and stuff like that, and why?
Flight controllers.
Flight controllers, top of the list.
Expanded hangar decks.
Expanded hangar and boosted comms have kind of. So that's something we could talk about is when do you take boosted versus expanded, right?
I'm like always
pretty much all just take expanded now.
Really? I'm boosted.
Yeah.
Man.
So Rebel.
See, there we go.
Rebel squadron, like ship composition is capped at 3 for some silly reason because they decided that we're just not allowed to like push squadrons like real squadron factions can squadron for some reason. I don't understand it. So I take expanded a bunch because I'm good at the positioning of it. So I don't need really the distance 5, and Rebels play a lot of rogues. So after you do that first push and get your squads into position, they're gonna kind of just follow up on their own and get whatever kills we need to get later. Now I do put boosted on my 8R Talon float. So it can
Yeah.
just like sit in my deployment zone and skirt around the battle and double activate squadrons.
Yeah, combining boosted with anybody who has relay, like Watt, Jendon,
Jendon.
is crazy because you can like reach out like a foot and a half across the board from where
It's
you're sitting and
fantastic.
activate somebody.
It's fantastic. I love that MSU Sloan list with the Centaur and Architens. You got Jendon, you got your Quasar in the corner, you've got a Gazanti. I mean, you can activate squadrons across the table pretty much all game long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boosted's a big help, especially on like you said, your Gazantis, your flotillas that don't want to be close. I kind of agree with Reuben on that one though. Like an ISD, it's going to be in the middle of the table. I'm generally not going to have trouble reaching my squadrons when I need a command with it. So I'd rather have the extra squadron.
Yeah. Oh, that's what we should talk about. Like, what are the carriers? Rebels, Reuben, who's your best carrier?
Okay.
What's his name?
Oh shit.
One ship.
One
It's a small
ship.
base. It's a small base.
Oh yeah. And no, it's not a hammerhead. It's the GR75. Unfortunately, I wish it were. I wish it were the MC80.
Hey, now your Pelta can push 3, and it's got an
We don't
offensive.
talk about Peltas. They're sad. It's just so efficient. 18 points, 2 activations, 3 with a token, 8R
And you got
Talon
two-
on it.
You got 2 GR75s too.
Yeah, you get 2 of them. So you're pushing. If you bring 8, right? So we typically bring 8 squads. That's usually what we shoot for, 7 or 8. So if you've got 2 flotillas with 2 tokens, you push 6.
And I feel like it should be said, because this is the squadron episode, we bring an even number of squadrons, because if you have an odd number of squadrons, you cannot deploy it until your opponent's completely done. And so if you're going to have an odd number of squadrons, you want to try to get that extra one so you have the extra deployment in there, just for people if they don't.
But if you're at
like,
if you're at 8 total deployments, you're basically fine. So if you're at 7 squads, it's not a huge deal. If you're at 7 squads and you're looking at being at only like 3, well, if you're looking at being at like 6 deployments, try to find that extra squadron to get good enough deployments. The other factions generally, so Rebels can play GR75s and only push 2 or 3 squads because we're so rogue dependent and we don't like alpha really hard. Other really, really good big push, like the Venator 2 and the CIS Providence and the ISD2, they don't need the flotillas as much because they're looking to like go, okay, here's 6 activations and we're going to overwhelm your stuff in like one really rapid burst of an attack. Whereas Rebels are more about like attrition and defense, and that's why they're kind of slower design wise. But like, it's in my opinion, it's lagged in strength compared to the other factions and what they can do.
Yeah, Rebels are really limited. The Assault Frigate is kind of a good carrier. It can be because they can take flight controllers.
And now it's like doesn't have enough gun. Like,
no,
it just doesn't have enough pew to go with the squad push now. I like the MC75 armored. It's a weird beast to try and get it to do what it needs to do, but it's got weird arcs, and it's really well rounded. It's got good shields. It navs pretty well, but you've got to fly that thing in a really weird way. Like I took a solid hour, maybe a couple, of just like moving it around the table just to see how it like wants to attack stuff to get its arcs on target, because it's pretty short ranged when you actually look at it and play it, and it needs to double arc to really do that good damage.
Yeah,
close too, which is hard to do with squads, because if you're trying to double arc something and squadron them at close, man, it's really hard to not run over all your stuff.
And then you lose all of the stuff that helps make the Assault Frigate better because you're doing flight controllers and expanded.
Yeah.
But Empire though, oh buddy, Quasar 1, boosted, expanded, Squall, flight controllers.
Grim.
My God.
Go ham.
Yeah, Grint, you push. So the very you'll see it all the time if you play in a squadron heavy meta. The Quasar 1 has 2 offensive retrofits, so you can take both boosted and expanded. And then Taskmaster Grint is a unique officer for Empire that when you reveal a dial, you get a matching token. You choose at the beginning of the game which command it's going to be. It's going to be squadrons, and so every time you reveal a dial, you get an automatic token. Yeah. I always see Grint is either going to be for engineering on an interdictor or squadroning on a quasar. He has some other fringe uses, but that's generally what you're going to see him doing. So your quasar can push 6 squadrons. They all get an extra blue die from your flight controllers, and your quasar is a base, I think 54 point ship that you can probably upgrade.
It's 54 points. Yeah, it's so cheap.
So it's beautiful.
Where's my Phoenix Nest?
Come on, it's in development. Somebody might release one in June. One of those 3 teams, right?
I just want to fly Phoenix Nest. You guys won't like it, and I'll only do it maybe for 2 or 3 games.
No, you know what? I will like it. I just thematically, because of the theme of it, yes, I would like to see it very much. I don't play Rebels, but I want to see it on the table.
If I could have the damn Pelta actually be good with Sato and Phoenix Nest and X-Wings with Hera X-Wing, you guys don't understand the absolute childlike glee I would have.
You're gonna get that, and then Legends gonna be like, here's my Lucre Hulk. Let me push 10 squadrons at once.
I want to fight a 2 large bases side by side Lucre Hulk. That sounds amazing.
It'd be awesome. Yeah. So for CIS, there's for Empire, listen, you can build an ISD into a carrier.
Yep.
The Gazantis are pretty good carriers.
You got 2 Quasars technically. Quasar 1, Quasar 2.
Yeah.
Quasar 2 is cool because it has red flak. Ooh.
If you're feeling edgy, you can fly the Victory as a carrier.
You can, absolutely. It's again, it has the same issues as we talked about. I said earlier, Victory being kind of in the middle. Why not just bring an ISD at that point? But yeah, you could do it. You have the Architens with Centaur that doesn't push squadrons directly, but it works as a relay. It lets a Gazanti in the corner push 2 squadrons across the table. Your Gazanti as well has the titles Vector, which gives you +1 speed on squadrons you push. Just throwing it out there. There's 4 officers that affect squadrons. Empire has a lot of kit. A lot of kit for squadrons.
For Gar, the Ventu, easily the best carrier. Throw Bail Organa on this bad boy. Queue up squadron commands.
Ken is saying Victory carriers can be useful in sector fleet games, which we were going to get to sector fleet here in just a moment.
Yeah, we are going to talk about sector fleet
briefly because we're a little bit short on time.
Peltas with Yularen and Fighter Coordination Team and Arcs is really annoying, but it's also a very good carrier fleet with a lot of extra steps of moving ships around and moving your Arcs. And then for CIS, the Recusents make really good carriers, especially the one that has 2 offensives. The Support Destroyer. It can take flight controllers, boosted, expanded, and you can slap on Sand Hill somewhere, push squads with that. And then the comms frigate is not as good, the Communificent comms, because it doesn't have a defensive retrofit, but the Providence carrier and Dreadnought can both be pretty good carriers. Even with no weapons team on the Providence carrier, just being able to trench or Grievous push squads with it, it's just good. It's just convenient, man. Base value of 4. But yeah, so Sector Fleet, you can have up to an ace per 100 points.
So before we get into Sector Fleet, can I circle back to Rebel 2-die bombers for Rebel listeners? Because we've got Lando, we've got Ketsu, which also supports the squad fight because she reduces everything's speed by 2, and she's a double blue bomber, so she's nice and efficient. She doesn't need bomber command center. Gold Squadron's very good too, so that's our first 3, and those are the played ones. And then it's really a question mark of what do you do. The Skurg's pretty good. It's a little expensive. The generic is 16 points. It pays for a lot of extra stuff that it may not need. So that's a place to experiment with the faction. And from the Skurg, we have Nim and Melee Hura. I I don't really know. Like, I haven't seen anybody play Nim. He's got a blue crit effect where he discards a defense token off of the ship that he bombed. Seems really good. Really hard to get to go off.
Yeah.
I've played melee with Rapid Launch Bays and Sato. She's honestly, I think she's pretty good. I don't know how to fit her in. I think she's pretty good. That's worth testing.
For 21 points, she's a good price now. She went
Yeah.
down like 5 points or something.
I'm gonna
The
throw out
B-Wing-
I'm gonna throw out the stupid question of the night though. If you were running 134 Rebels, is there any reason not to run Lando?
No.
You're running him as an officer.
I mean, you're asking me, and I'm like a known Lando enjoyer. So you're asking the not unbiased person here. I take Lando in every fleet because I love him. And I love his capes. And I love blowing up my friends' Gazantes.
He's just insane.
This is why it's a stupid question, but I throw that out there. Yeah.
You could build Rebel squad balls without Lando if you're trying to do like a Biggs ball, and your ace maximum gets eaten up by bringing like Biggs and Jan,
In fact,
and maybe Wedge.
I kind of put Hera in Lando's spot in those types of builds
Okay.
because she's got the same die pool and she's supporting the X-wings where Lando won't. Your B-wings are good. They're 14 points. They don't have heavy. They have 3 blue. They're going to help okay in the squad war. They're blue-black bomber. The generics are solid. You have to fighter coordination team them. So they're only good with a couple of ships because of their speed 2. Their bombers are like their aces are interesting. I think probably the best one's Kian Farlander with the double black with rerolls. Because if you don't have shields, he rerolls, right? Is that what his text reads now?
Keenan,
Keenan updated. While attacking a ship, if the defending hull zone has no shields, you may reroll any number of dice in your attack pool.
Then
And he's
Ken
black.
mentions Luke Skywalker, drop escort, add adept 1. That's what Rebels need.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah, so it would be. And I feel like I want Kanan to be useful. With his 2 blues.
Listen, we're going back into that. We've had this conversation so many times about assault being. We all want it to do something.
I would never use the assault though. Like I would just use the cloak and rogue.
Yeah, that's fair.
But he's 19 points, so never mind. I keep forgetting he's 19 points.
19 points.
Such a crazy
Golly,
amount.
that's really expensive. That's Wedge Antilles expensive.
Yeah, never mind.
That's like a direction to start experimenting with your Rebel 134s because I think Rebel 134s have seen the least innovation in the past couple of years because it's been basically the same rogue balls, very prevalent in how Rebels are played. Nobody's really tried to figure out how to do activated Rebel squadrons because activated Rebel squadrons used to be the most powerful archetype in the game. And they were nerfed the most out of anything that's ever been played. Our Rebel squadrons have been nerfed the most. So we got cheaper larges. We got some cheaper aces. We just got to figure out how to put all these weird double die bombers together with all these good, like efficient rogues like the YT-2400. Maybe something will come out of that soup. I don't know.
Man, remember Riken? That's like where it all started, man. On these rebels
I've not played
squadrons.
Riken that much. I really should.
I'm talking about original Riken. Like
yeah.
Where
That's
he's
just
how
always forever.
That's where everyone's scars are from. I feel like the mental trauma.
We'll do a quick touch here on Sector Fleet. You said it was 1 ace for every 100 points of the build.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And it's up to a quarter of your fleet. So
it is different than regular 1/30 your fleet.
Yeah. So it's a little bit less, and you can bring a lot more aces relatively. So like an 800 point fleet is what, like 150 points of squadrons?
200.
200. So I've played around with a couple of them. You can bring the full load, 8 aces, do all the cool stuff. You're not going to kill enough ships with it. Like I've looked at them, they're going to kill other squads very well and win the squad war very well. You do not have enough bombers to actually like get through the sheer amount of hull points and shields that are on 600 points worth of enemy larges and everything else. So
Yeah,
you can do that.
bring a lot of generics though,
Or you
Like,
can bring a
lot.
lot of generics.
Yeah, yeah. You sector fleets, when you start seeing things like 16 squadrons, being played, you can bring. And again, I'm going to speak from Imperial point of view. On an Imperial list, you can bring like Thrawn with a few ISDs and like 20 generic like squadrons that with aces mixed in there that you can like completely overwhelm, and then the ISDs can pull their weight. That's kind of that's the big difference with sector fleet, is that you see a lot more of that full squad like supporting fire where the ships and the squadrons work together to bring stuff down. Whereas, and I think at 400, like a full 134 squad ball, like you kind of rely on your squad ball to take a ship down while your other ships kind of stay out of the fight.
Yeah, I think the aces that buff in an aura effect around them, those are the ones that really come to the fore in sector fleet. So like, what's her name? She's the Nora Wexley. I think is an excellent example of this. I think she's terrible in 400 points. You can't bring enough Y-wings or whatever to get her to go off. But I think she's like the core of how Rebel sector fleet squad balls should work, because of how massively powerful her effect can get the minute you've got like 6 B-wings bombing, or like
She's the one that
Y-wings.
double ping shields, right?
Yeah, she's the one that has
Yeah.
the crit effect, deal damage to shields. So like, you can PDICs all you want. I'm gonna hit you though.
Something's gonna get through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the same. There's several Imperial squad. You can really tell, like in the earlier designs, that a lot of Imperial aces were like designed to be supportive. They're very specialized, right? Because that's where you see things like Howlrunner and Dengar. Dengar is really cool as an ace, but like it's kind of the same thing with Nora. You don't generally have enough squadrons. You don't have enough points to make the squadrons around him make use of his aura, because he basically he gives counter 1 or counter +1 to every squadron at 1 and 2 of him.
Yeah.
And so
do we have decent aura effects in our Clone Wars factions yet?
Yeah, you
That can do that kind of stuff.
You could afford to bring stuff like Plo Koon and Luminara. Like Luminara gives generics like obstructed, so when you shoot at somebody obstructed, Plo Koon like gives counter to ships that don't have counter. So like you could bring like 12 Y-wings with Plo and Luminara, and then every time you shoot at them, they're obstructed and they have counter now.
Man, that sounds really cool.
And then you can bring Kit Fisto and give them intel, so they have.
Oh, interesting. Man, that just feels so right. Like generic clones and the cool Delta 7, 8 like Jedi Council aces. So thematic.
Because that's 12. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Oh yeah. Oh man.
And what about CIS?
CIS is not as. I mean, they don't have very many aces.
I was like, it's hard to even name them because they don't like.
It's like this.
They have titles.
Listen, there's DIS and Bactoid prototype.
Prototype, yeah.
You're bringing the same thing you bring 134, except you bring an extra 70 points of hyenas and vultures. That's all you do.
I mean, that feels right though.
I guess you could bring tri-fighters instead. So they have counter 2.
Yeah. Well, and you can mix some in there. I'd love to see a separatist like 24 squadron. Like let's see. Can you do 24?
Easily. Yeah.
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 Trying to think of
That would be a long game.
I can bring 10 vultures and 10 hyenas for 190 points. So I could bring another vulture. 21 squadrons.
21 squadrons. Yeah, and then like that's just that. It kind of goes back to what I was saying too. Like every one of those vultures is an entire turn of another squadron trying to kill that thing. And then you bring 4 copies of reserve hangar deck because you can.
This would just be annoying. This would just be an annoying game.
Oh, and you can do that with
so
Grievous. You do that like
activations.
you run Grievous with that, and then you just burn your tokens. Because
And you burn your
getting them back.
friendships too.
Yeah, bring 3 recusents and then just a field of art cells.
Yeah. And I feel like that could, you know what? I feel like that'd be an interesting way to see how some of those other, like separatist unique offensive retros, maybe you could work them in the sector fleet. I don't know.
Nah.
Probably. I'm trying, man. I think
Boosted
they're
reserve
so cool.
expanded. Boosted reserve expanded. All you're doing.
We only do what works.
All right. Well, that is about it for our time for tonight. So I want to thank you guys for joining me on Memorial Day. I know you had things going on and you kind of had to rush to get home, so I appreciate you spending the time with me this evening.
Heck yeah, man. Thanks for inviting us.
It's always fun.
All right. And with that, we will be definitely back in 2 weeks, but I will say goodnight to you guys.
All right. We'll see you later. Bye.
Night, y'all.
Good to see y'all.
All right. So thank you for joining in on the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was definitely a learning experience for me because while I've played a lot of different squads, I haven't really focused on what the theory behind all of it is. And so I'm still kind of learning the squad game, and I found it useful. I hope you guys have found it useful as well. Just want to remind you that Saturday there is a Sector Fleet tournament at Miso, so you may want to look that up and try to get signed up. There's still 4 spots open for that. We'll also remind you that Mid-Rim Mayhem will not be happening for the next 2 weeks. I apologize for that, but the schedule just did not allow for it, and there will be another date here in the not-so-distant future within the month that I probably won't have Mid-Rim Mayhem as well because of scheduling issues. So, apologize for that. There will be no Swoter Adventures this week. However, next week we should be back on track with that. So, thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great night and play some Armada, man.